Hey, it's Mark Oskowitz from Tri-Gable Farm. Um, this is part of our seed starting success class, or the no-till gardening class, as it really goes hand in hand with any of the classes that we offer on demand, pre-recorded or live in person, that deal with some of the tips and tricks for growing in your garden. Now, so I wanted to sit down and just do like a standalone on row covers, a standalone video on row covers. This is like a, so don't worry about name brand, but it's just a fabric. It's very thin fabric, and you lay it down. You can Google this, Google images and stuff of what people do to lay these row covers down, on top of your veggies, herbs, anything that you want to protect from frost, protect from harsh winds, protect from cabbage moths flying around and laying eggs on your brassicas family stuff. Protect your potatoes from the Colorado potato beetles. So the backyard gardener is going to love this product, which you probably don't even know. This is sitting typically like on the shelf. So at your local garden store, it's online. Johnny's is one of my like my go-to. Johnny Seeds is Select Seeds is one of my go-to places for buying this. But like all the major seed suppliers tend to have row covers. They have, like, if you've got a big garden, so like a big garden, mine's like 30 feet by 50 feet. That tends to be pretty big. They sell this in bulk in rolls. So this is 55 feet by 50 feet. Now, so going over a row that's 4 feet wide, you need something that's going to be wider than 4 feet, because the edges of this you're going to kind of double over, and you're going to put some of these garden staples, 6-inch garden staples. Okay, not the little. If you see 4-inch garden staples, they're just not going to do it. You need 6 or 7 or whatever longer garden staples. Johnny sells them in like big boxes, like commercial sized boxes. There are places online where you can buy them in like 10 or 20 packs, Amazon, and stuff. So here's the thing. Why do you want these? Well, they're going to float. It's sometimes called a floating row cover, float over your crops. So if you just planted some seeds and you want the soil to just like not get all the water wicked away from the top layer of the soil, and you got your carrot seeds there, bam, something like this will help to keep the soil more moist. With little tiny seedlings, just popping up out of the soil. I am in a very windy area. I have no wind protection. This stops the water from getting wicked off of the leaves of your plants. And you wouldn't think it's like that much of a big difference, but it's a huge difference. I've done side by side trials of, just for example, like kale and broccoli family, like plants with row covers over them, starting out from little transplants that I put in the ground, then the same transplants I put over here. One set with row cover, one set without row cover, and it's a floating row cover. I'm not worried about the row cover sitting on top of the leaves. Totally fine. You'll see online some people put wickets or like little arches made out of wire to keep them off. You don't have to do that. Don't worry. The people who are doing little wickets are people who want to harvest in freezing temperatures, and they don't want the fabric to stick to the leaves. The backyard gardener doesn't need to worry about this. He can just let it sit on top. Now, side by side comparisons. I've had cabbage plants that, without the row cover, never sized up. Right next to cabbage plants that had the row cover, that sized up them, the beautiful heads. That's what I'm talking about, is that you may have grown crops before. I know this video might be a little long on this, but it really is something. I want to open your eyes to it. The amount of water that gets wicked away from your plants, and the amount of stunting that happens to your veggies, your herbs, your flowers in those early stages, when they're young and the winds are really really blowing around all day long while you're working and stuff, and all night long while you're sleeping, that like damage adds up and can stunt the plants and make it take a lot longer for them to get to mature size. So here's the thing. Weeds underneath that will also accelerate their growth. Okay, so you know, putting a row cover on, you don't want to set it and forget it for a whole month. You want to come back and take the staples out on one side, flip the whole row cover over, and then like use like a little hoe or a little hand trowel or something like that to rough up the soil to disturb any small weeds that might be growing underneath it. Okay, and then you'd probably also want to do that to open it up to like check on your like little root crops, your carrots all planted in little rows, and thin them out. So I guarantee adding this to, you know, adding row covers. This is Harvest Guard Agribon. Makes a commercial grade and size. It lets in about 85-90% of the light, but ends up, I know, buddy. So it lets in most of the light that the plants need, and light is food for these plants. So the heavier grade fabrics they'll last longer. So if you're looking at like what percent should I get, just get something that's like middle of the road. 85% of the light getting through is going to be fine. You'd be like, but it's not going to get as much light to photosynthesize to turn into food. But the protection that it gets from that light blanket. Now these are not frost blankets; those are heavy and let in like maybe 60% of the light, and they're so heavy that they really protect plants against frost. This will also help to protect against frosts. Now, so I'm not talking about necessarily using this with tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. You're going to hold off on planting those until you're out of risk of frost anyway. But for your cold weather crops or herbs, when they're just getting started, this is a great thing to use. So one last thing is if you're hardening off planted seedlings. So we talk about that in the class a little bit, but this is a detail that we may not get to. When you take a tray of seedlings that you had growing in your house and you bring them outside and you have them harden off in a cold frame or against a building, if you add row cover to it, you can sometimes push it so that you don't have to keep bringing them in and out. If you have a cold frame with the row cover over so if you don't know what a cold frame is, just Google it. You'll get ideas of this. With a row cover over the plants inside the cold frame, they get a double layer of protection, and you likely don't have to bring them in and out and in and out and in and out. And like I find that when I'm ready to harden a plant off before planting and let it sit outside to get used to the elements, putting this like little row cover over it helps. So one last thing is that, of course, these are sold in like different dimensions. I personally like to get ones that are 5 or 6 feet wide and that are in rows of 50 feet, 100 feet, 300 feet. You get one roll that's like 5-6 feet wide and 300 feet long, and then the home gardener is going to be able to keep that roll and keep cutting from it every time they need it, and cutting it in lengths to fit your beds. And then staples. So you don't have to use staples. I guess I keep saying one last thing, but if we're making like a detailed little video on row covers, you could do like bricks, but as the wind blows and stuff like that, the fabric's going to rub against the rough surface of a brick. So not ideal. I have taken wooden stakes and laid that lengthwise across, the very end of the row, the very end of the other row, and then down along the stretch. Again, wind is going to blow, and the edges of the sticks, as they're just, so I'm not staking them into the ground, I'm just laying them on the cloth. It's better to use more of those long sticks to kind of hold it down. You're just using gravity and friction to hold them down. Garden staples are by far like the easiest like little thing to like do and get them set up. All right. So row covers, that's your secret weapon to seed starting, to protecting your plants from pests. I got a visitor. All right, bye.